Howdy, folks. Let's play along with some backing tracks. A 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah, buddy, that's a fresh new backing track I made today. Get it while the getting's good over at drmcfarlandstudios.com. And this is part of the Doctor's Prescribed backing tracks for 2023. You get 52 backing tracks for the year. That's once a week. And we are in the month of June. So I do have about 3 more in the can that I haven't made live yet. But this month of June had 5 Fridays in it. So I got 1 more for the month of June. And then I already got a few more cooking for the month of July. So if there's any kind of genres, grooves, tempos, keys that you want to see added to the backing tracks this year, go ahead and let me know. And it just costs one time $20 free. One time $20 fee for the year to get all 52 backing tracks. And then next year, we're going to start all over and have another 52 backing tracks, and it'll be another $20. So it's basically $20 per year. It's way cheaper than a Patreon account. I keep way more money than Patreon because Patreon takes way too many fees. And the same goes for like super chats and super thanks and all different stuff. YouTube takes so many fees out of all that. If you give $5, I might end up getting like 2 or 2.5. So it's not really worth it to give me a super chat. Just go to my website. You can buy a Room IR, which is an impulse response for your convolution reverb plugins. You can support me by getting some backing tracks or any other one of my courses, whether you want to learn about music theory, recording, head rush, slew of other stuff that's coming down the pike. So as the title indicates, I have sold the Kemper. I was kind of hoping I'd have a little bit more time with it, but I kind of put it up on Marketplace and somebody nabbed it up pretty quick. So I say I wish I had more time. I had plenty of time with it. I was just too lazy to get in front of a camera and actually do anything with it. But I did enjoy the Kemper while I had it. So in this episode, or this live stream, we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons. Excuse me. I always get burpy when I go live. I don't know why. Some of the pros and cons of the Kemper profiling amp. I had the Kemper Stage. Also had a Kemper toaster and a remote for a short time. But I quickly realized that I didn't like having a separate head and board. That just didn't make a lot of sense to me. So having the Stage as an all-in-one unit made a lot of sense. And I say that, but then I traded my FM9 for an Axe-FX 3 rack unit, thinking that I could just keep the rack here in the studio and maybe get like a little FC6 foot controller, or even one of those Morningstar little controllers, and then just programming it to do certain things. I don't know. It's all up in the air. I kind of spent this last year purchasing all the major maulers I can get my hands on, and that includes the Fractal AX8, the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, the Line 6 Helix, and FM9, the Kemper, which I just sold. And that's really the main maulers when you talk about mauling or profiling or cloning or whatever else is going on these days. Those are the main big hitters. Head rush is still my main option that I choose to use, only for the fact that it is really easy to dial in sounds, and they keep it so simple that, I mean, for the price of admission on these head rush units, I mean, you get a lot of sound, a lot of tone, a lot of just tonal varieties in how you can build your rigs for not a lot of money. So you don't have to spend over $1,000 these days to get a decent sound from the head rush. Now the Kemper just recently dropped their prices by around $200 on their Stage and their head units and whatever else they have. So I feel like I didn't know that was coming. So thankfully I did sell the Kemper off and got a decent price for it before the price drop. And then, so now with this price drop, maybe in another year, you could probably pick up a Kemper for $1,000. A Kemper stage for $1,000, maybe 1,100. That's pretty. It's a pretty killer deal for a Kemper. Um, right now, I'm playing through a. This is an MS-30 cranked rig on the little MX-5 from Headrush. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool little sound. I have some other options in here. Here's like a Princeton dirt. I was basically working on this song today. My backing track that I was working on, and I liked the sounds I was getting, but I wanted to get some different varieties of dirt going, and you can definitely get that not only by adding overdrive pedals and distortion pedals, but just by taking like a Princeton, a Deluxe. I took the Tweed Deluxe Mod, Tweed Mod Deluxe, whatever it is. All kinds of different amps in here, and just started cranking them up and see what kind of sounds I could get. I was really going for that, like just really thick, punchy mid-range overdrive. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Really just keeping it simple. Here's a Deluxe Clean, which I was using for some of those tracks. If I turn off the overdrive. Then also put it on the middle position here on the Air Sonic. Just as a nice glassy. I mean, really, when it comes to clean tones, you just don't have to go down the rabbit hole of like, oh, I like the Soldano clean tone versus the Plexi clean tone versus the Deluxe clean tone versus the. I mean, at some point, especially when you're recording, a clean tone is a clean tone to me, and I feel like you can get some different varieties of dirt from different amps, but really if you want just a good clean tone, you can't go wrong with a Fender Princeton Deluxe, something like that. So let's check the comments here. We got old Randy Upchurch in the house. Good evening, sir, and greetings from Southern Illinois. Got any of that Canadian smoke down your way yet? Maybe. I mean, it's definitely been hot here lately. Not sure about Canadian smoke. I've heard from other people visiting up north in like the Dakotas and Michigan and stuff like that, and they're definitely getting it up there, but not here in Tennessee, thankfully. I assume you're getting some over there in Illinois since you're talking about it, but nothing here in Tennessee yet. It's just been really hot. Not tons of rain and just a lot of heat, and I may have to start shortening these live streams, maybe keep it around 30-40 minutes, because my mini split here in the studio that is my air conditioner, I turn it off so I keep the sound from not getting to the mic, and trying to keep it as quiet as I can, but that means it's getting a little hot up here. Got my lights on me and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's the way it goes. Sometimes you just gotta, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? So it is what it is. I am loving the Air Sonic from Reverend. Very cool body shape. Everything about it is just super smooth. It's fun to touch, fun to play. Love this Wilkinson trim. And that's actually let's talk about something real fast before we get into the Kemper stuff. I have somewhat decided, pretty much decided. I've already ordered new pickups for this guitar. I know you're thinking like, Nathan, you just literally got that guitar. Well, the pickups are great, but the middle position and switches, positions 2, 3, and 4 are very low in volume compared to the 1 and the 5 positions. So it could be a wiring thing. I mean, I might test the wiring before I go switching everything out. But I do want to try some different pickups in here. And using the quick plug system from Guitar Fetish allows me to keep everything wired to the pots and the 5-way switch. And then literally just pull out the pickups, unplug them, plug in a new pickup, as long as they're in that quick plug, system there, and I can switch in and out pickups pretty fast. So this would be a very fun guitar to play and record with, and also experiment with different sounds by switching out the pickups. But I have decided, if it's all possible, if it is at all possible, I have to do some measuring here, but I'm going to try and switch the hip shot trim system out for the Wilkinson trim, which is what you get on all the Reverend options. This is a Wilkinson trim right here. This is a hip shot trim, and something about, hear that? Something about this arm, like, first of all, you can just pull the arm straight out, which I'm not a huge fan of, and you can tighten it in the back, but then the arm gets really stiff, and just the whole mechanism is not as smooth as the Wilkinson trim. So I do have another Reverend guitar that's kind of out of commission right now, so I'm going to borrow the trim from that guitar and try to experiment and put it on this guitar to see how it fits. And if it works out, then I can also order a black Wilkinson trim to go along with the black aesthetic of the hardware. But since the new pickups that I got are also, they're not black, they're more silver, I could just keep the Wilkinson trim on there, and or maybe order a different one, because eventually I might want to sell the other Reverend. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm going to be experimenting with pickups and tremolo systems here very shortly. It'll probably take me a few nights of recording to capture all the footage I need to actually make a decent video. Kind of like a walkthrough of like, hey, I'm switching out the pickups, I'm switching out the trim system. But everything else about the guitar is great. I mean, it's a gorgeous guitar. It's got a nice neck through design. Stainless steel frets, everything. Playability is great. But I want to experiment with some different pickups and a new trim system. So be sure to subscribe down below for that, so you'll be notified when those kind of videos get released. I might just end up doing a short little series, maybe like a 4 or 5 video series, instead of trying to cram it all into one video. I'm not quite sure yet, but stay tuned for that. Okay. All right, Kyoki's in the house. What? Sold the Kemper. Gotta wait for the Kemper Jr. Gonna wait for the Kemper Jr. That's another thing. People have been. You always kind of speculate when prices start dropping on certain units. That's kind of what happened with the Headrush, right? The Headrush got discontinued from Sweetwater, and then lo and behold, this new Headrush Prime came out. Which is a very cool unit. I don't have one yet, but there is some things moving here in the next coming months, so I will be a part of. So be looking out for that. He says cool axe, and yeah. I have another Reverend, the Gil Paris signature model that has Fishman Influence pickups in it, and I like the pickups. But you also have to charge the guitar every once in a while, and I'm not a fan of that. So the pickups I ordered were from Guitar Fetish, and if you watch my live stream from last week, I talked about Guitar Fetish pickups and also webstrings.com, where you can order all your strings for very, very cheap price, very inexpensive, but they're good quality strings. Um, and I am on the last probably 4 or 5 sets of web strings that I ordered like a few years ago. I usually order 25 or so at a time, and that makes the overall price of each set really low. Um, so, and those were 11 gauge strings, and I like 11 gauge, but on this guitar there's 10s, and when it comes to bending, turn the delay down. Yeah, when it comes to bending and stuff, I can do 11s just fine, but 10s do feel a little bit more comfortable. And something's going on with my hand. I mean, my thumb is hurting a little bit today. Maybe it's just because I pop my knuckles all the time. But my hands are as strong as they used to be. So the next round of web strings that I order may just be 10 gauge strings, and just stick with 10 gauge on all my guitars for the foreseeable future. Uh, Even though I do like 11s, but 10s are going to be probably more beneficial in the long run. So, uh, Kyoki, all right, you got to charge your guitar, man. And also, sometimes I forget to have the charging cable connected to the cavity panel. Ouch. Yeah. Yeah, well, you got to do that. Now, thankfully, the pickups in the Reverend Gilpera signature, they literally last about like 300 ish hours. So even if you left your guitar plugged in 24/7, that's a good like what month or so? Not a month, no, 40 hours. Let's just say it's 40 hours a week. Think of like a work week. So 40, 80, 120. Yeah, I mean that's a good like month and a half, almost 2 months worth of just like continuous playing without having to charge your guitar. So that's actually pretty good. And if you think of it on average, if you play like 2 hours a day, I mean you could go for 6 to 9 months without even having to charge the guitar. But if you're that kind of guy that likes to keep his guitar plugged in all the time, keep a cable plugged in, you're going to drain your battery a lot faster. So, so moving forward, I do not want to deal with active pickups. I do have an active option on my new bass, but it also has a passive switch. So I can either make it passive or active just by toggling it back and forth. So when I have it plugged in, I can switch it over to the active option. And then maybe if I'm not playing, I can just switch it back to passive real fast to kind of save the battery life and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, let's actually go. Let me go here to sweetwater.com. And we'll look at some Kemper stuff, and we'll talk about my pros and cons of the Kemper. And my internet's been a little slow here lately. Or at least it's slow right this second. So this may not even come up. Because my internet's being weird. I've been testing the T-Mobile 5G home internet, and it's been working fine. More than enough for just normal streaming and watching YouTube and stuff like that. But when it comes to upload speeds, it's very slow because I'm in a separate building than the actual house. In the house, it's fine, but here in the detached garage where my studio is, um, I was trying to upload a video last night to my YouTube channel, and it was just creeping along, just very, very slow. It actually said it was like 2 megs per second of upload speed when I did the speed test. So, not very good at all. Um, okay, this internet is being pretty slow, but Kemper stage. I just want to get a picture up here so you can kind of see what it is, what's going on. And there's a few people watching here. Yeah, it says I'm froze. I am not going to mess with the internet or with the website. Okay. If I come back on, let me know. I'm just going to keep going. I'm sure. It's still recording. So, but anyway, here we go. If you can see me or hear me, just leave a comment in the chat. All right. So the Kemper stage. What's good about it? What is not so great about it? Let's talk about the not so great stuff. First of all. All right, when you buy a Kemper, it does come with some profiles, um, but it's not like buying an actual amp mauler where you get an amp model and you can tweak all your bass, middle, treble, gain, volume stuff from there. You're very much reliant on either buying profiles or downloading profiles from the rig manager, and that is a huge time suck and rabbit hole, because you're wanting to, like, it's like a kid in the candy store. You're trying to audition all these different profiles, and you come down to the point of, man, do I want a Fender Deluxe cleaned, or do I want a Marshall Plexi clean, or do I want this car Rambler clean sound, or a clean sound from a Mesa Boogie or a Soldano, or just there's just so many options to choose from. It makes it very hard to whittle it down to just the core sounds that you want. Herman's asking a question here, but I'll get to it here in a second. So let me finish my thought on the Kemper. So the first con, and also it can be a pro if you like this kind of thing, but a con for me is just there's so many different profiles out there, and literally everybody and their grandmother can make a profile and upload it to the rig manager. And some people make really good profiles, and some people make really bad profiles. I only make good profiles, by the way. And I do have Kemper profiles on my website if you want to go check that out. I think it's a one-time $20 fee, and you get my current packs I have available up there. But I don't have a Kemper right now, so I can't audition them. You just have to go on there and be like, hey, think of it like a donation to the channel, right? So, but they do sound really good, and I can vouch for them. So if you end up buying them and you just hate them, I'll give you your money back. How about that? But if you are going to invest in some Kemper rigs from my website, then just think of it like a donation, and they are really, really good. So I wouldn't have uploaded them if I didn't think they were great. I enjoyed playing them when I did have the unit. So another con is once you've made a profile of an amp, you can't just go in and start turning up bass and middle and treble and gain and volume like you can on a real amplifier, even though you're technically doing the motions like you would on a real amp. But there's no way of telling the unit that, hey, when I turn this gain knob, it's going to react just like the real amplifier would. If you're really used to amp models, then something like the Kemper is a little foreign. We're not used to working in that way. Um, but a pro on the other side of that is they do give you there is a definition knob, a clarity knob. You can adjust the overall volume, not just actual like gain and master, but like just like a fader on the board here. Where's a fader, right? You got faders. You can just bring the volume up or down, however loud you need, to kind of even out your rigs across the different performances and the different switches. Um, so they have done a really good job at being able to profile something and then tweak it to your liking later. So I always thought the definition knob as being you're adjusting the high end, so you can make it brighter or darker. And then the clarity knob is something that you can use to adjust the low end of your sound. It kind of thin out the bass if it's a little too woolly in the low end there. You can use the clarity knob to kind of take some of that low end out and really help with all the like the palm muting and stuff like that. Um, and then really beyond the definition and clarity knobs, I very rarely had to go in and adjust the bass, middle, and treble. I kind of kept that just at 12 o'clock. And then you can adjust the gain up and down according to what you're going for. If your original profile was a little too gainy, you can always bring it back. Or if it wasn't gainy enough, you could always bring it up. Um, so it really just comes down to workflow, and if you like that style of you got one performance, which to everybody else could be like a preset or a rig. And then within that performance, you have 5 switches that you can really call up. Each switch can be its own separate rig, which can have its own amp, own cab, a certain number of effects you can assign to the 4 switches up on the top row or on the second row there. And so rig 1 could be a clean, rig 2 could be a clean with delay or more ambient sounds. 3 could be crunch, 4 can be lead, 5 can be lead with delay or maybe more of an ambient thing or really whatever you want. And a cool positive about the Kemper is when you switch from one rig to the next, it's all seamless. There's really no gap in the sound at all. All your reverb and delays just kind of flow into each other and really melt into each other. So it's a very smooth transition, and that makes for a great experience when you're playing because you can go from this really ambient sound to this totally dry, like funky sound, and all your ambient stuff will just keep washing out until it dissolves. Washing out till it dissolves. And I'm here all night, folks. And yeah, it's just I think the Kemper really does sound good. Um, if I played out in a band and I was doing this full time, I think I would have kept the Kemper for sure. And now that the prices have lowered, and like I said, maybe here in another year there'll only be like $1,000 versus 13 or 14 or 12 or whatever they are now on the used market. So the cheaper, especially if they come out with a new unit, the prices of the stage on the used market will probably go down even more. So I think in the next year or two, if you're looking to get a Kemper, especially on the used market, I would just wait a little bit, maybe till the fall, maybe till Christmas, and see what kind of deals you can get on that used market there. And get your your barrier to entry like as low as you can, and then just go and dial in, and then go buy my Kemper pack on my website, and get all the sounds you'd ever need. But so far this head rush is still sounding good. So let's talk about the effects of the Kemper real fast. You have tons of overdrive options. Plenty of modulation stuff. Okay. I think I froze, but now I'm back or something. I'm not sure about like older models per se. I know on the Prime they have the revolver amps that came from the PV owned plug-in or revolver. Sorry, it's the revolver amplifiers. I honestly think the amps in the headrest are just fine. I do prefer them to have a little bit more lush style ambient reverbs. I know they have the shimmer, they have the ambiverb and the party verb, but to me they're more effecty sounding, and they're just not lush enough, if that makes any sense. So hopefully they'll get all that figured out. Kyoki says he finds himself in rabbit holes on the Headrush Prime, and yay, some clouds are horrible. Make me wonder if people do all that on purpose, just to blow my ears speakers. Yeah, probably. The Fallen says he has the Headrush MX5. That's how I found your channel. Yes. So the Headrush MX5 is great. That's what I'm playing through right now, and it sounds really good. Headrush is doing great things. I want to try the Helix in the future. So I do have a Amp1 / HX Effects little setup. And really for $400, which is what you can get the HX Effects on the used market nowadays, if you don't have an HX Effect in your arsenal of options, I would highly suggest just picking it up. Because you do get all the overdrives, great sounding modulations, the filter effects are great, but the reverbs and delays are just so, there's a lot of depth to those sounds. And I mean, I know I'm a Headrush guy, but there's some other great products. There's plenty of great products out there for everybody. It's just a matter of what you want to get. So yeah, I would definitely look into HX Effects for $400. You really can't go wrong with that. If you want to get the full size Helix, that's going to run you about $1,000 to $1,200. If you want to get the Helix 4. I want in time to get a Headrush Prime, but hopefully that'll be when I play live. I would wait on the Headrush Prime, maybe till like August or September, and see what other options Headrush has here in the near future. Not saying there's gonna be, but you know, you never know with companies. They're always coming out with products all the time, so. So just like Kemper dropped their prices right now, they may be coming out with something new. The Line 6 company has been kind of quiet on the Helix front. You know, they're coming out with more updates, but they could be working on a new device here soon. Who knows? I really know nothing about any of this, but it's just all speculation, and you just never know what companies are up to. So, but I think usually companies like to release things like around NAMM, like January to March, and then sometimes they'll release stuff like sometime in the fall, maybe early to late fall. So. But that backing track I played at the beginning of the live stream was all done with the Headrush MX5. I just had some good dirt and clean sounds called up. Like this deluxe mod dirt is take out the ambiverb here. And another thing I found about the Kemper, I mean, ultimately, it does come down to money. I can't keep everything that I review. Even though I did buy the Kemper with my own money, I didn't get it sent from the company or anything else. Um, but I've recently bought these Kiesel guitars. I've traded. I did buy the FM9, then I traded up to the XFX3 rack unit, and so there's a lot of money, tied up in those things, and something had to give. I can't keep everything. So even though I did like the Kemper overall, uh, I did end up selling it for a pretty good price, I thought. And I didn't make any money on the deal. I did lose a few $100s from when I bought it last year. Because whenever you buy things off of Reverb, it could be $1,400, but after taxes and taxes and shipping, it could be closer to like 1,600, right? Um, and if I would have had cash in my hand, I probably could have found something more on Marketplace and just paid cash or transferred a Venmo over to somebody and probably could have saved some money. But since I was putting it on a credit card, I kind of had to, um, use a credit card through Reverb. So it was a money crunch. I just needed to free up some cash to pay off some stuff, and thankfully it all worked out. The guy I sold it to was really nice, and he's going to be using it at church, and he's going to get a lot of mileage out of that thing for sure. So I was happy about that. Let's go to my deluxe here. I'm really liking the deluxe amp for. Oh, that's the dirt option. That's the dirt. Let me go to the clean. Let me save this. Yeah, it's just a good overall clean sound, so I like it. The following, this is the channel to do your research when you putting in your headrest tones. Yeah. Nice telly. Oh, that is no telly. That's the Reverend Air Sonic. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I like this guitar. I pretty much played it all day, and it just feels very nice. Everything about it, the Wilkinson trim, the body, everything about it is just really nice. Let's think of some more pros about the Kemper, and then we will call it a night. So, I did like that you had a dedicated tuner switch, a dedicated tap tempo switch, and a dedicated looper switch that came on the Kemper. So that way you didn't have to do like the hold or the press and hold or all that different stuff to get to access different things. Like on the MX5 right here, I can get to the tuner, but I have to hold switch 3. Now, it's not a big deal. You just have to hold it for just maybe 2 seconds or so. But, it's just one more thing you have to press and hold versus getting direct access to the tuner. You can press and hold on the MX5 to get to the looper. But then again, that's just one more thing you have to worry about. And the looper on the Kemper was very well. It worked just swimmingly. It worked really well. And I mean, you hit the switch for the looper, you start a loop, you go back to your rigs or your performance view, and you start changing your sounds. You go back into your looper and overdub another thing. It's just very easy and seamless to go back and forth if you needed to. And with some of these other units, like with the fractal, for instance, you can't even do a looper unless you have a looper block in that preset. And if you're the kind of person that loops all the time, well, you either just need to stick with a very small number of presets that you actually use, or you just get into the habit of adding a looper at the end of your chain for every single preset that you make. And then hopefully you have a foot controller available either on the FM9 or maybe FC6 or FC12, to where you can always access that looper pretty quickly and easily when you need it. But that was the cool thing about the Kemper, was instant access to the tuner, the tap tempo, and the looper. Apart from the 5 rig switches on the very bottom on that second row, you had a bank up and down, which is very convenient. Then you had 4 switches, 4, that you can assign any number of effects to. You can even assign multiple effects to one switch if you wanted to do it that way. I found it be pretty good, actually. It was a really good setup. The tones overall were very lifelike, very amp-like. They, as soon as you plug it in, there's really no tweaking you have to do. It just sounds good. Now you do have to be dealing with good profiles in order to get that experience. If you play through a bad profile, you're like, that really all sound all that great. But you can't blame it on the unit itself. You just blame it on the profile that the person made, because maybe they had the microphone in a weird spot on the speaker, and maybe it sounded muddy. Maybe they had it too far away from the amp or speaker. Just there's all kinds of factors that goes into capturing a guitar sound, and the Kemper is no different. So now with the Quad Cortex, now with the Tonex, and now with the Headrush Prime, you can now capture, clone, profile on all kinds of units, and it's really up to you to determine what kind of sounds you're going for. Do the built-in amp models give you enough options, or do you like the profiling, cloning, capturing type of process? So it really just depends on what you want. Let's see here. It happened to us all. I had to sell 2 guitars in April due to unforeseen circumstances. Unforeseen. That's another layer of complicating your life. When you do stuff for YouTube, specifically for YouTube, like if you're going to be a YouTuber, the amount of stuff that you get sent, I don't get sent tons of stuff, but other YouTubers do. The amount of stuff that you get sent that just ends up taking up a lot of space in your studio or your video room or whatever you want to call it. It can be very overwhelming. I have cleaned up the studio in here. I will do a full-on studio tour very, very soon. Now that I have everything organized and everything's nice and clean and well laid out. No, I don't have junk all over the place like I did like a week ago. But having like a Kemper here and an Axe-Fx there and a Headrush there and a Helix over there and a Quad Cortex on another part, it's like, why do you need all this stuff all over the place that literally does all the same thing? They all are meant to... What is down there? Weird. They're all... sorry, I got distracted. They're all meant to just amplify your guitar sound. So, I still have a Supro back here, 12-inch combo amp. I have a Boss Katana 100. I recently got a Laney LFR 12, which I probably didn't even need, but I do like it. It sounds really good. I have a Blue Guitar Nano Cab over here. So I got plenty of amplifiers to choose from, between the Headrush and my Blue Guitar Amp 1 and HX Effects setup, and now the Axe Effects. I mean, there's 3 different maulers I can choose from. And really, the bulk of what I do here in the studio is just demos. All I need is a good guitar, a good clean sound, a good rhythm, good lead, a bass sound, and everything else is like drums and acoustic guitar, rhythm parts, maybe some dobro every once in a while. I'm also scaling down on the number of mics, like condenser mics I have. I'm really liking. I don't know if you can see this. It's an Amazon microphone. They actually sent it to me about 2 years ago for me to review, and I have reviewed it. So you can see that video on my YouTube channel. But I really just decided one day, it's like, I mean, this mic is great. It's the Rode Pod mic. If you can see that. Yeah, the Rode Pod mic there. This is a great mic. I just don't need it. So I'm selling it, right? I have a Rode NT2A, which I've had for a few years. It's another great mic, but I also have another one of these in the vocal booth, just always set up. And so I was like, all right, if I can sell off some Rode mics here, free up that cash, I'm just kind of, just try to get down to the bare basics of what I need here in the studio. That would be good. So, Kyoki says, Aaron Shore, good to see you here again. I dig your work on the Prime. Yeah, Aaron Shore had the Prime for a little bit. Besides aesthetics, does that puka hole in the Reverend's body serve as a specific purpose? So the cool thing about this AirSonic is it has a solid center block going all the way down the center. Then it has thin wings going on either side of the body. And then these are just basically F holes, Reverend style F holes. I see you over there. I see you. So it just adds it just makes it less weight through here, and it makes the wings resonate more as well. So it's a very resonant body. Let me turn this down. It's a very loud guitar. And it also makes it feel more like a semi-hollow kind of feel with the big body, with the big wings on the other side. So your arm fits really good right there. It fits really good sitting on your leg. So it just makes it more resonant. There's a nice belly cut right here. So you got the belly cut, you got the arm rest right here. You have the bass contour knob right here. And then you have a volume and a tone with a Fender style or a Strat style input jack right there. So yeah, it's a very unique design. But yeah, so it just makes it lightweight, very lightweight guitar, but very balanced as well. I don't get any like neck dives or anything weird going on. So that's good. Aaron says buy another Kemper. Maybe in the next year or two, if I see prices go down, I'll snag one. But for right now, I just don't need it. Do you prefer IR or amps in the MX5? So you're probably talking about IR versus cabs. Right now in all my rigs, and also the rigs I make for my HTS rigs live stream every month, I purposely only use cabs because if I started using my own Doctor McFarland IR pack in the live streams, then I would feel like you would be forced to buy my IRs, which I would like for you to, but you don't have to. So therefore, I just use the stock cabs when I'm doing all my HTS rigs, and that just allows you to download them immediately and not have to worry about adding another IR to the signal chain and take out the cab and all the different stuff. So all the rigs in this set list are using the Prince. Sorry, what is this one? This is the Black Panel Lux 1x12. I feel like it sounds really good. It sounds really good. So. Yeah, so I think it sounds just fine. In a live situation, is more fast the Kemper to engage the tuner than the head rush. I use the TC Ply Tune with my gig board. Well, since the tuner has a dedicated switch on the Kemper, then yes, it would be faster to just hit that switch, and now you're tuning. But even when you're not in tuning mode, there's some LEDs below the tuner switch that you can kind of glance at while you're playing. You can kind of tell like when things are sharp or flat or whatever. So I mean, Kemper does have a leg up on I mean, it was made. It's called Kemper Stage for a reason, right? It was made for the stage. It was made for playing live. Even though they have a dinky little LED screen, well, it's not LED. It's whatever it is. It was made to be seen in dark stages, bright lights, out in the sun. Maybe you're playing outside. You can literally see what the screen is doing at all times and in any environment. So it's good. It is really good. Like I said, part of me, if I was playing out more and needed that kind of tool, I would have kept the Kemper and then just made a few performances with some rigs I needed in each performance for the different sounds I usually use, and just would have used the Kemper all the time. But that is not the case. Have I tried the Katana? Yeah, I have one right back here. The Boss Katana 100. I will do a video on that very, very soon. I did get this katana sent to me from Sweetwater, and that was probably like a year and a half ago. I'm a little behind on doing a review on that, but I use it all the time when teaching lessons, and I kind of wanted to give it like a year to just get used to it, and just gather my thoughts on how the quality is, the tones, ease of use, all the different stuff, so I can make a proper 3 or 4 video series on the Boss Katana. But yeah, it's very, very good. Yeah, the guitar sounds amazing and different. Sounds great from what we have heard so far. You're going to play us out, right, Doc? Yeah, sure. I'm going to play you out. The MX5 is more for home players and studios. Well, think of it like this. If you're a bass player, you don't need tons of different sounds, do you? So just take your MX5. If you're a rhythm player that, once again, uses a basic clean, maybe a little tremolo, maybe a little tube screamer, that's really all you need. That's what I have here on this rig, my deluxe clean HTS rig, which you can download from the website. So there's a basic clean sound. Turn that up a little bit. All right, now I can turn on my vibrato from the amp. There you go. And then I can turn on some tube screamer. Right, so if that's your kind of player, and that's all the sounds you need, you got a clean, you got a crunch, you got some vibrato. I've assigned, I have a tap tempo on switch 3 right here, but I've assigned the wet mix of the delay to the expression pedal. So now I can bring in my pitch delay, right? Then I can bring the hill back to just the amount of mix I want for that. So in quite a few situations, the Headrush MX5 is plenty for most people. Bass players, rhythm players. Maybe you just need a few core sounds for your lead playing. You can easily make a set list and keep it in rig view and just go from first rig is this sound, second rig is this sound, third rig is my third sound, and then you can bank up to the next set of 3, and then you got 3 more sounds, and then bank up 3 more, maybe bank back down to go to the second 3, bank down again to go to the first 3. You got to organize your brain into what you actually use for a set, but you can easily have all the sounds you want right here on the MX5. So, yes, having a bigger Headrush is more convenient because you have more switches. And when you have more switches, you can have more scenes. And when you have more scenes, you can also double those scenes with the new addition of whatever update it was a few months ago. To where you can have 2 scenes on one switch. So now you've doubled the amount of scenes you can have. But since on the MX5 here, I could have 3 scenes before, but now I can have 6 scenes on the 3 switches in one rig. Then I can bank up to the next rig, and now I have 6 more scenes that I can switch in and out different effects and change amplifiers and do whatever I want. So with the use of a little thinking ahead and figuring out the actual sounds you need for a gig, the MX5 can be plenty for most people. So, but yes, I used it today to make a backing track, and it was great. I just dial in my sound, play my part, go to the next sound, double my part, do like a little funky little, whatever I did for the song. And it just worked. It worked really well. For live situations, probably the Kemper, Helix, or Prime are better options. Better isn't an opinion, but still. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying. Is all right, I went away for a second, but I know I'm back somehow. So I am sorry about that. I will not be playing. I'll actually do this. See if I can do this here. Let me put the Headrush on the floor. And what I'll do is I'll do a little loop-de-loop to play us out. How about that? I did have Velcro on the bottom since I had it attached to a board previously. But that made it really slick. So I found some rubber feet kind of things to add back onto the bottom. So now it doesn't move at all, which is great. Okay, so there's my clean sound. Alright, so I'll hold the second switch, and now I can record. Let's see, we got 2, 3, 4. Ah, shoot, here we go. See how well this goes. Oh, it worked. Great. Alright, let's go up to my dirt right here. Yeah. I'm gonna go to a different rig here. I'm gonna go to the MS-30 cranked. Yeah, that's it, man. That is it. So what I was doing there at the end was I was using the trim arm to either go up a half step or up a whole step, or I can go down a whole step, or all kinds of cool stuff. So I just love the Wilkinson trim on these Reverends. They just make playing so enjoyable. So it's going up a whole step. That's down a whole step. You really gotta use your ear to make sure it's in tune, but boys, and girls. That is the Headrush MX5, and it is sick. Sounds good. Let's check the comments here. Angel is in the house. It says, "Hey Doc, have the gig board. That's how I found you." Question: why does stereo in on a loop not work properly? I use dual mono to stereo input to the loop, but only got mono. Any thoughts? Loop on what? Loop on what? Why does stereo in on a loop not work properly? Stereo. I use a dual mono to stereo input to the loop, but only got mono. I'm not sure what the loop is. Usually if you have stereo, you need two different speakers. So like going left out to a stereo PA is only going to give you a mono signal because you are using a mono output going to two separate speakers, and it's still just going to be mono. You're never going to be able to pan that any which way to get a stereo sound. You have to go left and right output of your Headrush into two separate channels on a mixing board, like right here in front of me. Like I got two faders right here. You have to have two signals going out in order to get true stereo sound. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Great playing. Hopefully I'll be as good as you someday. Now, if you listen carefully, I pretty much played about 5 licks in total, just kind of rotate them around. I mean, I don't do a lot of stuff, so, but I do appreciate it. I've had some issues tonight with my internet being a little slow. Sonic DNA's in the house. Greg Barth. Not much. I'm playing the Reverend Air Sonic tonight. Talking about Kemper. I have sold the Kemper, sadly, but maybe I'll get another one here in the next year or two. But for now, I gotta pay off some credit cards. So that's what big boys have to do sometimes. Pay off them cards. So, anyways, enough about me and my my spending habits. Yeah. So now that I've made, let's see here. Now that I've made a loop on the MX5, I can go ... I'm not sure what's going on, but I keep freezing or disconnected from the live stream. And I've also moved the comments and my preview little window right above my camera, so I'm not always looking over there. I'm going to look either right above or right at the lens. So you can I'm kind of looking in the same general direction as what the camera is, because if I'm looking at the lens, I'm actually looking at you, but if I look over at the viewfinder, now my eyes are away from the audience, and I don't like that. But if I look up for a second on the screen, then I look back down, you can tell that I'm actually looking at the lens, which I'm communicating to my beautiful audience, and not just looking over somewhere else, all over the place except for at you. So anyway, I'm going to get off here before the internet just totally crashes and goes away or something. I'm not sure, but I'll get all that figured out. Thanks guys for watching. Hopefully this live stream will all get all pieced together in one thing instead of not. So Berta Greg. Really digging that Reverend. Yep. The Reverend is fire, but the dock is froze now. Yep. All right. So, thanks guys for watching. Be sure to check the website if you want to donate to the channel. Get some Sonic DNA impulse responses. Sign up for my my 2023 backing tracks course, which gives you 52 backing tracks in the year. It's a great way to donate to the channel and all that fun stuff. So thanks guys for watching. I'm Dr. McFarland. I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.